everyone, this is Anushka Borde from PSL Academy, all in the rank 2 NDA 2022. In this series, we are going to make videos on each and every bit of SSB. So, in this video, which is the first video, we will be talking about what is SSB and how it tests a candidate. This would be an introductory video. So, let's get it. Now, when one looks at the procedure of SSB, the procedure is for 5 days, where on the first day, there's screening in which some of the candidates would be taken in and the rest of them would be sent back. This is basically to judge whether a student or a candidate is capable to be judged for the next 4 days or not. Then there are the rest 4 days, the second day, third day, fourth day, and fifth day, on which the other tests, which include the psychology test, the GTO test, and the personal interview. These tests are conducted. Okay. Now, you'll definitely get your dates before a month or two of your SSB. So before going to SSB, it's always good to understand how SSB tests a candidate. Now, if you look at the procedure, you'll understand that it tests a candidate on the principle of mansa, vacha, and karmana. Mansa means the mind, which I'll say as what you think. Then there is vacha, which is what you speak. And then there's karmana, that is what you do. So, there are different tests. Like you saw psychology test in which they are seeing how you think. In your personal interview, you'll understand they'll see how you are speaking. And in your GTO test, they'll see what you do on ground. So, these tests are conducted separately. And on the fifth day, which is the conference day, they will see whether there is a synchronization between these three things, your mansa, vacha, karmana, what you think, what you speak, and what you do, whether there is a synchronization or not. And if there is no contradiction, then they will see whether it goes well with the 15 officer-like qualities that the armed forces wants in a candidate. Okay. Now, as I've said, at the psych, the interview, and the GTO. These are based on this principle. Similarly, the first day of your SSB will also have a similar process in which, now when one is going for the screening test, one will find first there is an OIR test, that is Officer's Intelligence Rating. I'll be talking more about this in the next video. So kindly watch that video too. First, there is this OIR test, and then there's an important test which is called PPNDT, Picture Perception and Discussion Test. You'll find there are three aspects in it. First, that you write a good story, which is similar to a psychology test. So, first is writing the story. Then second is narrating it in 1 minute. So, narration is looked more by the interviewing officer because the interviewing officer wants to see whether you can speak well or not. So, narration goes for what you speak, and discussion, which is basically much inclined towards the GTO because the GTO wants to see how you're working in a group, to come to a common story. So, you'll see this principle. They use this principle similarly on the day one itself, and thus some candidates are screened in and some candidates are screened out. Now, I talked about the fact that after synchronization, they'll see whether you have those 15 officer-like qualities or not. So let us have a look on what are these officer-like qualities. Now, these 15 officer-like qualities are divided into 4 factors. First one is planning and organizing, second social adjustment, third is social effectiveness, and fourth is dynamic. Now see, if you'll see the first factor, which is called the head factor, you'll see there is effective intelligence, reasoning ability, organizing ability, power of expression. So all these four officer-like qualities require your brain to process. It requires your common sense and it requires some or the other logic. Like for example, you cannot have a good reasoning ability if you don't have effective intelligence. Like all these are dependent upon each other, because you'll organize well when you'll prioritize well, and you'll prioritize well when you'll be able to give the reason for your prioritization. Like I have prioritized this task as the first task because this is what the reason is. So the first factor is again very important. I would want you guys to go through the definition of each and every officer like quality, and then you'll understand what do they really want. Like for example, here they haven't written only intelligence, they have written effective intelligence. So what they want is the fact that they don't simply want a candidate to be intelligent so as to say that a candidate should be good in doing good in exams and scoring well and this and that. No, they want somebody who is effectively intelligent, which means that a person is able to apply his or her intelligence in his or her day-to-day problems, life problems. This is what effective intelligence means. Similarly, you go for reasoning ability, organizing ability, power of expression. When you go through all these officer-like qualities, you'll understand that each one of us has all the qualities, but the proportion in which we have them is different. For example, a person who is very good at studies may be good at the first factor, but may not be good at the second factor and the third factor. He or she may be good at the fourth factor too. Now, what SSB wants is, it wants the candidates to be average, at least bare minimum average in all the factors. If you see the second factor, like social adjustment, there's social adaptability, cooperation, sense of responsibility. All these three, they are called the hard factors. These three are very important qualities which come from heart. It isn't something that you'll solve a problem and then you'll get, it isn't something that you'll simply practice and you'll get it. It is something that comes from your heart, like social adaptability, being open to different opinions, being open to different kinds of people is something that comes from within. It comes from exposure. So these qualities, you can judge yourself based on these qualities. Like for example, sense of responsibility. Till now, just question yourself, what are the decisions that you have taken in your life? What are the responsibilities that you have taken in your life? Responsibility is not given, it is taken. So what is it that you did without anybody else asking you to do it? That's important. That will show your sense of responsibility, your cooperation, whether you're good in working in a group. Because in armed forces, you'll be required to work with so many people, and cooperation is very, very important. Go to the third factor, which is social effectiveness, where this is called the gut factor, where there's initiative, self-confidence, speed of decision, ability to influence group, and liveliness. All these qualities, again, important qualities. And this is something where you need a little bit of daring to do it. Like, for example, initiative. If you have confidence within you, you will initiate. Initiate anything. Initiate a plan, initiate a task, initiate a discussion in a group when it comes to SSB specific actions which show that you have these qualities. So you go with speed of decision or the ability to influence group. Now you see speed of decision. It will be shown when you are asked a question randomly, maybe in your interview or maybe in your GTO. The GTO may say that, okay, this has now turned into a different color. Now, how fast can you think of a different solution? That at times the GTO may also, or the interviewing officer may also ask you, are you sure about that or not? You may give that answer in haste, but they want to see, are you giving the correct answer in less time or not? Speed is equally important. Liveliness. Liveliness is something that I was taught. It isn't something about, it isn't only being cheerful all the time and being positive, but it is more about being positive and being cheerful in adversity. Adversity, or in terms of like here in SSB, the adversity would be a pressure condition, or adversity would be that you did not complete a task well, and now you have got your next task. Are you lively or cheerful? Especially in the GTO, your performance in the PGT may not be that good, but in HGT, whether you take that confidence, whether you take that cheerfulness with you and do the task that is given to you properly or not. The GTO sees everything. So all these qualities, again, the fourth factor, not missing the fourth factor, dynamic nature, determination, courage, stamina. It is like related more to the legs. So determination, courage, stamina. Stamina, both mental, physical, courage, both physical courage, moral courage. And again, determination to do anything. This would be shown, like this is more shown into your individual obstacles and all. Now, as I said earlier, everybody has these qualities, but in proportion. You will see that if you don't have, or if you're very bad at any of these factors, or any of these qualities, like you have got everything, factor one is very nice, but you don't have the confidence and you don't initiate, then what is the use of having a very good factor one? Similarly, you have a very good factor one, but then your social adjustment isn't that good. You cannot adjust with people. This will show that your cooperation and all is not that nice. Then it will be on the downside of you joining the armed forces. It may happen that your first three factors are very good and the fourth factor is not that good. You should have courage. Stamina is something that you can build. So stamina, because since even though I had less stamina, but they did ask like, what will you do for increasing your stamina? And I gave them the answer. So stamina is a buildable quality. Some qualities, all the qualities are buildable, but then there are some qualities which is very difficult to build. For example, cooperation, sense of responsibility, or initiative. Because the first three is something that you may, start being more curious about everything, your surrounding and all, and you may develop these a little easily than other factors. But when it comes to cooperation, it will happen only when you work in groups, only when you open your heart. It is your decision whether you really want to cooperate or not. So one very important thing, have a good heart while going to SSB, especially when you will be working in group. Make sure that you are cooperative, that because when you are working as a group, then your task or the ultimate goal is that the group should go forward. It doesn't mean that whenever you get a chance to portray that you have got the solution of a particular task or you have got the idea, if at all you even don't get it, then get into the implementation thing, because the group has to go forward. In SSB, having a good heart is very important, and try not to do anything bad to anyone, because the GTO will see it. Having good intentions, your intentions are checked in SSB. Very important. So definitely I've told you about the OLQs. I've told you about the system in which they check, that is the Mansa Vacha Karmana thing. I've also told you about having a good heart, because at the end they'll see your intentions and then select you, because if they see there's any sense of jealousy, or अगर आप किसी और का कुछ बुरा करने जा रहे हो in your SSB, it is going to backfire, and backfire in a very, very bad way. So just be open and go for your SSB. So this was it for the video. In the next video, we'll be discussing different tasks, and stay tuned. Thank you.